I want to show you this little clip at the beginning of this TV series called The Pretender, and you may feel a little spooky. Take a look at this.
This is the Kevin Trudeau Show.
I am exposing the corruption in government and in major multinational corporations. We're telling you the things that they don't want you to know that will make your life better.
There's a group of people that are born with, we'll call them superhuman abilities or supernatural abilities. That's really a bad term for that. It's just abilities that they have strong consciousness and awareness of. And it has to do with the blood. It has to do with an anomaly that's in the blood. So I told this story, and in the Brotherhood, it's a private organization. I was born in 1963, by the way. It's a private organization that would pick certain people, either from a genetic bloodline family, and they were allowed to join. And then they would find some anomalies, somebody who wasn't from a genetic bloodline family, but had this anomaly in their blood, this genetic anomaly, which allowed them in the brain to do certain things. Just recently, I had a brain scan done and a whole series of tests with radioactive isotopes to see what parts of the brain light up. And all I can tell you is when this was looked at, it's like these parts of the brain, how they're lit up and why they're lit up is, I've never seen it before. And I said, well, I know what I'm doing with the brain. And the reason you haven't seen it before is you haven't seen people like me. You haven't also looked at the brain scans of Tibetan monks. So I showed them the brain scans. You can see. So you have the average normal baseline, and then you have some, we'll call it, spiritual enlightened person, self-realized person, and perfected master, or Tibetan Buddhist monk who's been meditating his whole life. And you have people like myself who are in the Brotherhood. Let's look at our brains. And we know how this works. It's the hardware. It's the hardware. You've heard this forever. Oh, he has a brain. You have to have a brain. The brain has a lot to do with success, happiness, joy, so many things. We forget about the hardware of the brain. And this is genetic. Some people are born with a brain and some aren't. You all have brains, and I'm not trying to down you. But at the end of the day, some people are born with the natural talent to play the piano. We know this. Some people are born with the natural ability to do art. Okay, I don't have a natural ability to do art. And I took art classes. I had a friend of mine, a gal I dated, who's a very famous, world famous psychic today and spiritual advisor. And she's advised #1 New York Times bestselling authors and very amazing people. You've seen pictures of her and I on the Kevin Trudeau fan club site. And she wanted to do art. So she went to this art school off the coast of Washington State for I think 2 or 3 months, for an entire summer, where she was painting and getting lessons for the entire time. And at the end of the time, I went there, I flew to meet her, and I looked at her paintings. And I was like, how you think you're doing? She's like, I'm enjoying it. So I went and talked to the expert there, the teacher. And I said, how's she doing? She goes, no talent. She'll never get any better than that, no matter how many hours she practices. She says you have to have the natural inclination or the natural talent. You're either born with it or you're not. Same thing with anything, right? We don't want to talk about that, but genetics plays an important role. So I talked about this, and then Danielle said to me, have you ever seen this TV show called The Pretender? I said, no, what is it? She says, well, this guy was, a young boy, and he had some genetic anomaly, and this organization took him in and trained him, and they used him for research, and they used his abilities for their purposes and so forth. And he had the ability to virtually tap into the energy field of others and virtually become them. So he could virtually become anyone he wanted. He could actually, look at a engineer and tap into that energy, and in a few weeks, because he was had a genius IQ, he could virtually become that engineer and speak like the engineer, talk like the engineer, had all the memory and knowledge of what the engineer had, and was effectively the engineer. But it took him 3 weeks to get to the level that this guy would take maybe 10 years. So he was called the pretender. He could become anyone he wanted. And so I watched a couple of the clips and I started laughing. And Danielle goes, "What's so funny?" I goes, "This brings back a lot of memories." I go, this is very loosely based on the Brotherhood. Very loosely. It's completely fictitious. None of it's true, but it's very loosely based on the Brotherhood. And it's fascinating because they said 1963. That's when I was born. So I want to show you this little clip at the beginning of this TV series called The Pretender, and you may feel a little spooky. Take a look at this.
There are pretenders among us, geniuses with the ability to become anyone they want to be. In 1963, a corporation known as the Center isolated a young pretender named Jared and exploited his genius for their research. Then one day, their pretender ran away.
Did you see what happened to it with the? There was some spooky ghost that came in here and just crashed. Did you see what happened with the picture? By the way, that picture back there, you can't see it. They told me that was one of my ancestors that looked like me. But it just crashed. It just spooky stuff, man. So when you looked at that little clip, 1963, I can tell you that show is completely fake. It's a completely fictitious account. There's no truth to any of it, but it's loosely based on what happened with me in the Brotherhood. There's no place called the Center, but there is a place called the Brotherhood. They do take people in. And interestingly enough, in this particular series, there was a point where the main character, the pretender, the one, says something about this. So, Trey, let's play that clip.
We're all special because of what's in our blood.
Eugenicists monitored these 8 children for the center. They screened them. You see, there's a special anomaly in our blood, in our genetics, that predisposes us with the gift.
This was also talked about in the the movie series Star Wars. Now, if anybody watched Star Wars, they talk about the Force. The most powerful Jedi Knight was Anakin Skywalker, who became Darth Vader. The way he became a Jedi Knight, when he was very young, a Jedi Knight saw him and picked up something unique in his energy field. And this Master Jedi Knight took some of Anakin Skywalker, the young boy's blood, and analyzed it to see if there was something in it that was an anomaly. And in his blood, there was this very strong anomaly. So take a watch at this.
Stay still, Nelly. Let me clean this cut.
There's so many. Do they all have a system of planets?
Most of them.
Has anyone been to them all?
Not likely.
I want to be the first one to see them all.
Annie, bedtime.
There we are. Good as new.
Annie, I'm not going to tell you again.
What are you doing?
Checking your blood for infections. Go on. You have a big day tomorrow. Sleep well, Annie. Obi-Wan?
Yes, Master.
I need an analysis of this blood sample I'm sending you.
Wait a minute.
I need a midichlorian count.
The reading's off the chart. Over 20,000. Even Master Yoda doesn't have a midichlorian count that high.
No Jedi has.
What does that mean?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, what does that mean? That means there's a lot of power there. The bottom line is, throughout history, we know, it's not disputed, that there are certain people with abilities. In America, there was a TV series, and maybe you can find out the name of this, Trey. I think it was on either the Discovery Channel, I think it was the Discovery Channel or the Learning Channel, called Superhuman. think that was the name of the TV series. This TV series went around the world and took people. One of the people that were in this clip or on this show was my Shifu, my master, my teacher, Shi Yanming, who was the Shaolin monk from the Shaolin Temple in China. Grandmaster Tai, the great Qi master, one of the greatest Qi masters in history, who was also one of my closest friends and trainer. But Shi Yanming was on here showing what could be done with Qi energy, and it's superhuman. It defies science. Example, there's a machine that measures the force of a punch. If you take a heavyweight boxer, that boxer, a heavyweight, 240 pounds, throws a punch, it registers the force. Shi Yanming is a very small man, probably about 160 pounds, not 240, 160. And rather than give a full punch in the demonstration, he gave a 1-inch punch, which was made famous by Bruce Lee, which was actually taught to Bruce Lee by Bruce Lee's Wing Chun master, Ip Man. So Shi Yanming is 1 inch away and punches. It has more force than the heavyweight full punch. They said if you got hit with that punch in the chest, it could collapse your chest. It'd be similar to getting hit by a car going 35 miles an hour. Superhuman. Another example was Shi Yanming would take a spear, and they did this on the show. This is not a magic trick or anything. And the spear was sharp. You could take the spear and just tap it into some paper, and it would cut the paper. I mean, it was sharp. They put it into the small of his throat, and 2 men would push the spear, and it would not penetrate his skin. Instead, the spear would bend and break. That's physically impossible. But he explained that the Qi energy below the skin was coming out and stopping it. It's an invisible energy force. There's a show on TV called The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. They keep drilling into this mesa where the radar says there's some anomaly. They can't describe it. And they keep hitting this invisible something that drill bits with unbelievable amounts of pressure can't penetrate, but there's nothing there except an invisible force. Think about this. In the series Superhuman, was that the name of this? Did you find that? Was that the name of the show?
Real Superhumans.
Real Superhumans?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think this is another one. I think it's called Superhuman. But anyway, on this, there's also a man who blindfolds himself. And again, this is not a magic trick. He's blindfolded, and he has a sword in the sheath. And he's standing there. There's a rifle with it's a BB gun. And they shoot the BB gun, which is like shooting a bullet. They shoot the BB gun, and he takes out his sword, and he cuts the BB in half. And he's blindfolded. Now, if he's not blindfolded, it's impossible. Because you can't see the BB. It's going too fast. It's a rifle. Bam. The way they show it is with high-speed cameras. The man is picking up the force field in the same way that an eagle is flying and knows where the fish is and goes down and can time the exact moment to catch the fish. They call it, there it is, the example here. Yeah, look at this. Bam. It's impossible. It's impossible. It's 100% possible. Hi, I'm Kevin Trudeau. This is everything they don't want you to know about to improve the quality of your life. Broadcasting every Monday and Wednesday, 2 days a week now. Monday and Wednesday at 1 o'clock Chicago time. Make sure you tune in. and subscribe to the channel and share these shows with everyone you know.